In this verse of Upadesha Sahasri, he is expressing the zenith and the fulfillment of the Advaita thought and realization. See what he says. Sushupta vajjagradiyo na pashyati dvayam tu pashyannapi cha advayatvataha. Shall I explain it? Will you all be with me when I explain? Sushuptavad jagradiyo na pashyati. Jagrati, in the jagrat, in the wakeful state. Sushuptavad, as if one asleep. Yo na pashyati, he who does not see. Even if you are in the wakeful state, as if you were asleep, you should not be seeing. What does it mean? Are we to be inactive? Are our senses to be shut? Should there not be any interaction with the world, with the objects, with the people around? All these things should go on. Then only it becomes a wakeful state. Wakefulness means interactions through the senses with the many objects of the world. So it is not an invalidation or a cessation of the interactional life. It is only an addition and enrichment provided to it. By what? By the philosophical and spiritual insight, vision and realization. How does it work? The word pashyati means sees. To see, it is a transitive verb. What does it mean? It implies a subject as well as an object. Now, in the wakeful state, normally our interactions are supposed to be between oneself, ourselves, and the rest of the world. So, the interacting individual is the subject, and all the rest becomes his object. So, there is a close subject-object interaction. Subject-object interaction. In this interaction, the subject remains the same without any alteration. Objects are variable. I generally describe them as persons, places and events. Your interactions are always with persons, with places and also events. Now in these interactions, the interacting subject is just one and the same. Now let us go further. Where is this subject? Is it in the level of the body? Certainly not. The whole body is a seat for the five senses. And these senses are the instruments by which we are doing all interactions. So it is not in the level of the senses. Suppose an object is seen by the eye. The registration of the image is not done in the eye. Then where is it made? It is inside the body. So the interacting subject cannot be in the body or in the sensory plane. It has to be inside. A question arises, what interacts and where is the subject? Is it the mind? Certainly not. Like the senses and sensory interactions are going on, mind and interactions in the mind level will also go on. In fact, our mind and the thought processes and emotional processes from the mind, they themselves become a subtle object for I, the individual, to interact with. If the gross objects away from the senses are gross objects, then the thoughts and emotions, memory, etc. in the mind inside, in the subtle mind, they become subtle objects. Similarly, the intelligence also is an object. Intellectual products also are an object. Then where is the subject? Certainly, other than the body, other than the mind, other than the intelligence, other than the ego. That is why you always say, my ego is very strong. I have a very poor ego. My intelligence is sharp. My mind is always agitated. All these things, say mind, intelligence and ego, you are referring to by the term my, the possessive case. That means it is something different from I. The I stands separate from all of them. So that I is the subject. In that I level, na pashyati, what does it mean? Okay. When I am seeing an object, say I am sitting in front of the camera, looking at the camera, and also the walls surrounding me, especially the ones in front. I am sitting in a pentagonal hall. So at least 3 sides wall are somewhat visible before me. Though the walls are at a distance, say about 10 to 12 feet away from me, I am seeing the wall where I am. This seeing is an experience for me. And this experience, all of you will have to agree, though it is caused by the senses, they are not in the sensory plane, in the bodily level. So it is internal. In the internal level, in the level of the consciousness, the mind, how are these experiences caused? The wall does not come away from where it stands. I don't go away from where I sit. So my consciousness, the mind inside, produces an imprint of the wall and the camera. Am I clear? My mind alone produces an imprint. When the mind produces an imprint, can the imprint be gross and external, or it is subtle and mental? Any mind imprint is mental. So the mind produces a mental, inner, subtle imprint, and this imprint is what I am experiencing. When the mind is experiencing its own imprint, where is the question of two there? There is only the mind and its imprint. A thought is no other than what the mind displays. And this display is not outside, it is in the mind level. So in the mind level, can there be a non-mind product there? No, the product is a mental one. So when you analyze the wall, which I experience, that experience is not of the gross wall. It is actually the subtle imprint of the mind made by it in itself. So it is a mental imprint. As an imprint, there is no substance or anything in it other than the mind. So even when I see an object or the world around, the actual seeing now reduces itself to an inner process where the inner content, namely the consciousness alone, is at work. Am I clear? Now this applies to all sensations. Shabda, Sparsha, Rasa, Rupa and Gandha. Shabda means sound, Sparsha means touch, Rasa means taste, Rupa means color, Gandha means smell. So all the sensory objects, though I am experiencing, the experiences of the sensory objects are equally and uniformly inner in the sphere of consciousness, in the sphere of the mind, as mind's own imprints and formations. Will you not agree that the subtle mind never produces a gross object? So all these imprints are not gross. Then how is it that we call them gross? It is only a notional assessment. The mind itself creates an idea of gross as different from the subtle, and it says that this is gross and this is subtle. Actually, there is nothing like a subtle product and a gross product inside the body in the sphere of the supra-material consciousness. Once you understand it by philosophical and spiritual introspection, where is the question of dvaya here? Where are the two? There is only one, and that is consciousness. That consciousness wakes up. When it wakes up, it produces the wakeful state. Suddenly, the senses begin to work. And the consciousness brings back imprints. These imprints are again made by itself. They are absolutely inner, absolutely subtle, absolutely consciousness itself. Sushuptavat jagradiyo na pashyadi. So when the wakefulness is on, by a proper spiritual philosophical analysis of the wakefulness and the experiences, interactions and interactional outcomes that accrue, I clearly understand that the only thing at work here is consciousness, Chetana, Shuddha Bodha, and that never becomes otherwise. All the thoughts and emotions and images surge forth in your mind. After some time, they totally disappear in the mind. The wakefulness itself disappears at the end of the day, and you go into a state of sleep where all these things are wrapped up, completely wrapped up. The creator and author of wakefulness is not the world, it is consciousness itself. It can produce the wakefulness, it can produce the sleep, it can equally cause the dream. All the three states. One is interactional, other is internal, and the third, sleep, is absolutely non-actional. So, dvayam tu pashyan abhijadvayatvadaha. Though you are interacting with the world, considering as if they were different from you, you should understand that the interactions completely are an inner, spiritual, subtle process. Absolutely subtle process. There are no two factors at all. Consciousness alone is there. Tatha cha kurvan api nishkriyaschayaha. In the same manner, when you are active, this activity, what all things are involved there? The senses are involved, the mind is involved, the intelligence is involved. But beyond that is your real personality, identity, the I level. In the I level, is there any action at any time taking place? There can be movement in the sensory plane, perhaps subtle vibrations in the mental plane. But in the inmost level, absolutely like the zero, in the center of the earth, no activity whatsoever takes place. When you say, I act, I also say, I do not act. So that acting and not acting, both are again notions produced by the consciousness. In the consciousness, real consciousness level, there is no activity at all taking place and no interactional outcome ever befalling. Dvayam tu pashyannapi cha advayatvadaha tatha cha kurvan api nishkriyaschayaha. Go on acting. At the same time, understand very clearly that in the inmost level of your personality, in your identity level, there is no activity at all. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Do all your actions. Gachan, sprushan, jigran, ashnan, gachan, swapan, shwasan. Do all things. Walk, breathe, eat, sleep, dream. Indriyani indriyartheshu vartanda iti dharayan naiva kinchit karomiti. I do nothing. My senses interact, my mind thinks, generates emotions, my intelligence raises inquiry, doubts, and it answers also. But beyond all these things, about whom you say intelligence, mind, ego, etc., in that level there is no activity at all. He who is able to understand, realize, and live in this realizational manner, sa atma vidu, that man is the knower of truth. Nanya idiha nishchayaha, not the other, is the definite conclusion in the matter of this science. Absolutely. Sa atma vidu nanya idiha nishchayaha. So who is a knower of truth? A knower of truth is an immensely interacting man. He will have a sharp mind, a sharp intelligence. He will also have perceptive senses. He will also have a very flexible and enriching and elevated ego. And such an individual is an ornament, is a blessing to the society. Many of the actions and activities and ventures which others are not able to take up, if you give them to him, he will be beautifully fulfilling them. As Vasishtha puts, he is a Mahakarta. He is a mighty and a magnificent performer. Mahabhokta. He is a magnificent enjoyer, a magnificent sufferer. He does not resent suffering. He is not afraid of bad things. He is not enamored of good things. He is always belonging to that transcendental note of assimilation and self-enrichment. Sushupta vajja agradhiyo na pashyati dvayam tu pashyannapi cha advayatvataha tatha cha kurvan api nishkriyaschayaha sahatmavid nanya idiha nishchayaha. The devas from the heavens were praising Krishna, saying that you are absolutely unaffected. This is what Krishna himself has said in Bhagavad Gita while having a dialogue in the battlefield of Kurukshetra with Arjuna. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha iti mam yobhijanati karma bhirna sabedhyade. Krishna says this is not merely applicable to me. It is applicable to one and all like me. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha. No action that I perform ever causes a scar or a blemish or a stain or a bondage in me. Why? Name karma phale spruha. I have no desire in any of the results of what I do. The river is flowing. Does it have a desire? The trees are bearing. fruits, do they have a desire? The earth is revolving in itself and around the sun. Does it have any kind of a desire? The wind is blowing, the water is flowing, the clouds are shedding. In all these things you don't find a desire. As earth's products, gifted with intelligence, we must be all the more so. Why are we spoiling our life with desire? Parochial outlook. To desire is to constrict your mind, is to retard your potential, is to cloud your vision. Move about freely without desire. All your needs will be fulfilled. Work on needs, not on desires. Work not on ambition, but work on harmony. Work on fulfillment. Iti mam yobhijanadi karmabhirna sabadhyade. This is my nature, the secret of my work. I have no desire for any kind of a fruit of an action I perform. Understand me in this manner and be like Krishna. Carry Krishnatva in you. Be like me, even excel me, he says. Prakrite kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvasah ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. This is from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We are speaking about actions, interactions, selfish actions, selfless actions, universal actions. So many things we are saying. Krishna says, none of this activity ever belongs to you. Everything is designed by nature, persuaded, compelled and initiated by nature. Altogether there are 3 gunas, Sattva guna, Rajo guna and Tamo guna. These 3 gunas are the fundamental constituents of nature. Each guna has its influence and domain. One after the other, or maybe all the 3 somewhat parallelly, are in work everywhere. They work in a micro manner. They also work in a macro manner. The macro working is what is called the Jagat, the world. The micro is called the individual, the Jiva. Prakritehe, of Prakriti, Gunaihi, the gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas by them. Sarvashaha, in every manner, always, Karmani Kriyamanani, all activities are being performed. So behind the performance of any activity whatsoever, what you have to see and understand is the play of Prakriti's gunas, not your gunas, Prakriti's gunas. So Prakriti is at the back of it, at the front of it, in the middle of it, before and after it, inside and outside. Understanding that Prakriti is the sole cause of all activities, interactions, interactional outcomes, whether they are sensory, mental, intellectual, egocentric, everywhere. Ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. While this is so, the man who says, I am the doer, I am the performer, and I want the result, I suffer from, I enjoy them, that man is deluded by his own ego. You are breathing because you have lungs. Have you made your lungs? No. Your blood is circulating because your heart is there. Have you made the heart? No. Even for the lungs to breathe, the presence of air and oxygen, who creates and preserves it? Not you. If these fundamental factors, constituents in your personality, are not at all at your beck and call, they are totally of nature, which part can you claim in this world? Nothing. Only a man deluded by his ego that I will do, I have done, I want. So that delusion caused by the ego is responsible for any individual to feel or think, Kartaham iti manyate, I am the doer, I am the doer. You have either a masculine body or a feminine body. These bodies are differently constituted, made. And you join together and live and make a family life. And in the process, conjugal relationships take place, pregnancy also follows, the birth of a child is the next outcome. Are not all these designed by nature? Who designed the uterus? Who designed the generation of sperm? Everything is designed by nature. There are so many trees which bear fruits. There are plants which bring forth flowers. All these are the whole scheme of nature. In that you are only a human individual. When it comes to you, you suddenly become a performer. But the tree is not a performer. The plant is not a performer. The river is not one. The clouds are not one. Then why suddenly you alone? Understand that it is sheer delusion, 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 ignorance, ignorance, perversion. Prakrite kriyamanani gunaih karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. While the deluded people think, I am the doer, understand, in this world there are also knowers of truth. Tattvavittu, the knower of truth, on the other hand, Mahabaho, oh mighty armed Arjuna, Gunakarma Vibhagayoho. Gunakarma Vibhagayoho Tattvavidu, one who understands what is the role of gunas. Sattva-guna representing wisdom, happiness, etc. Tamoguna representing inertness, inertia, sleep and ignorance. Rajoguna representing activity and the emotional causes for it. He understands it very well. The operation and function of the gunas is internal. Its visible effects are activity. So, gunakarma vibhagayoho tattvavittu guna guneshu vartanda. Guna guneshu vartande. The sattva rajas tamo gunas functioning in an individual, bringing forth their respective activities and expressions, are interacting with the products, interacting with objects which are again created, an outcome of the gunas. It is the gunas which interact with the gunas. Iti matva na sajjade. I don't come anywhere in between. It is because of my eyes and their seeing capacity that I see. Because I have ears and I am not deaf, I am hearing. Because I have a brain, I think. Because I have a mind, I feel. Now all these are products not created, designed or preserved by me. They are preserved by nature. So nature is responsible for everything. I am not. I come nowhere. Thinking in this manner, na sajjade. No attachment or delusional clinging is there. Why I am saying this? Krishna is praised by the Devas as one of this category. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid pashnan shranvan sprashan jighran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrajan grinhan unmishan nimishan nabi indriyani indriyartheshu vartandaiti dharayan. I already referred to this, so I don't explain it much. This is from the 5th chapter, verses number 8 and 9 of Bhagavad Gita. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid, the knower of truth, the knower of truth. Tell me very clearly, would you want to be knower of truth or would you want to be ignorant? Ignorant. I think every viewer of mine is wanting to become a knower of truth. So as a knower of truth, your perspective should be this. Naiva kinchit karomiti. I do not do anything. It is all indriyani indriyartheshu vartande. My senses are indulging in or interacting with the sensory objects. My senses are interacting with the sensory objects. Neither the senses are made by me and ruled by me, nor the objects are caused by me. So it is an interaction that takes place irresistibly along with my personality. My point of view is that I don't do anything. I am the inmost presence, which is only a witness, a spectator. Now this is what they said. What did they say? Tvam mayaya trigunayatmani durvibhavyam vyaktam srajasya vasi lumbhasi tadgunastaha naidair bhavan ajida karma bhirajyate vai yasve sukhe avyavahite abhirato anavadyaha. It is in explanation of this one verse that I explained all this resorting to Upadesha Sahasri, Yoga Vasishta Ramayanam, Bhagavad Gita and the like. They are praising Krishna, and Krishna is like that. Whenever any discussion takes place about Krishna, you should understand this wonderful knower of truth status of Krishna. He was not an ordinary householder. The question generally raised is that, why is it that he married so many people? Nobody was married by him. Everybody was gifted to him. Because of his great magnitude, even the marriage he had with 16,000 people liberated from Narakasura's prison, 16,000 Krishnas in the same Muhurta married all the 16 damsels. So was it one Krishna? And who is the original Krishna and who is the duplicate Krishna? None of them was able to say and feel. So this is this dimension. Don't consider him as an ordinary man. Shuddhirnranam natu tathedya durashayanam vidyashrutadhyayana dana tapahkriyabhihi satvatmanam rishabhate yashasi pravruddha sachshraddhaya shravana sambhridaya yathasyat. There are a number of verses which the Devas say. I don't think my English viewers will be interested in listening to all of them. So I am not going to explain all of them.